Welcome to another episode of Dinner Starts Here, and the sign says it all. Arlen, we're at Cedar Crest Trout Farm.
Yes.
You are?
Arlen Taylor. I'm a second generation fish farmer.
Cool. And this is like, you're in front of the wall. We should describe it all. Maybe you can describe it because it's actually kind of a process of trout farming.
It is. So we have an artist depiction of what we do here. So we are breeders. So here are our beautiful breeders, nicely in heat, giving us beautiful eggs. This is our farm up here depicted. And from the eggs, we then turn them into an eyed egg, which is an egg that's nearing hatch. From there, the egg will become a sac fry, which is this little guy down here that you can see. He has a beautiful yolk sac that he will absorb. Then he goes on to become a fingerling, which is our prime market. So from a fry onward and upward into a fingerling. Once they're a fingerling, ranging in size from 6 to 10 inches or 30 to 100 grams, we will send them out to the big net pen farms that are in Georgian Bay and Parry Sound and Manitoulin Island. From there, they will raise them up to be about 2.5 to 3 pounds, sometimes a little bit larger, and that's what you find in your grocery store. And we also have all the fish coming back into the farm, as it looks like in the images, although it's not completely true, because we are the breeders. And then our beautiful background, because we are on both land and in water.
Isn't that cool? So you're quite a bit of this process all the way up to the net pen farm.
Yes, we are.
Now, I mean, when we talk about fish farming, I mean, I shouldn't say that. We don't talk about fish farming at all. Give me an idea, like, how did you get into fish farming?
So I'm second generation. My dad was crazier than me. He started in 1969 and we built this facility in 1995. Since then, the market has truly developed and we are starting to grow as an industry here in Ontario through net pen and Indigenous partnerships up in Manitoulin Island. And in 2011, we decided to expand by buying 2 other facilities. In 2014, we decided upon another expansion, so we bought another facility. And here we are today with 4 facilities. So now we're raising about 6 million fingerlings for the net pen market.
Wow. So all those farms there, basically that process that you're sending, 6 million fingerlings up to net pen farms that are going to raise them.
So here in Ontario, our operation costs are very expensive. So raising food fish on a land-based farm is not always economically acceptable, we'll call it. So we would, up at the net pens, they're not pumping water, they're not having to add extra aeration, they're in nature. So they don't have the operational costs and they can raise the fish better and faster up there.
But in this process, like you can do this process better in the land because you've got more control, is that why?
You need to have more control when they're younger so that you can prevent disease issues, that you can improve their overall health in smaller rearing units.
Isn't that cool? Well, can we take a look?
Absolutely.
Now these fish are moving fast. How many fish would be in this tank?
There are 16,000 fish in that tank.
16,000 fish in one tank,
basically.
These are not very big fellas.
Nope.
And ladies, I'm assuming.
Yes, boys and girls.
How old are they? How did they get here? What's the excitement?
So these ones were bred on the 29th of March. We have all of their parents here. So we took their mother and their father and brought to it, took the eggs from them and the milts, and we artificially inseminated them. They stayed
You can artificially inseminate a fish.
I can.
We choose. Does that go on your resume?
It is a good resume for that. It's
something you wouldn't see very often, I don't think.
I don't believe so, no.
I know how many questions I get about cows. Fish is a whole nother ballgame.
I feel like you have the worst end of the stick when it comes to artificial insemination.
A fish seems a little squirmier. So how do you do it?
Okay, so our fish, we put them in anesthetic so that they can fall asleep so we don't hurt them at all. Rainbow trout spawn every year. So we want to make sure that they're as healthy as possible.
Once a year.
Once a year.
That's all. Wow.
Yeah, so once a year, we start spawning them when they're 3 years old, and we'll spawn them once a year in a given time period of about 6 weeks. We have to go through them every 2 weeks to make sure that their eggs are ready to come. And each female will give us anywhere from 5 to 14,000 eggs, depending on the family and genetics behind them. Those eggs we then take, we artificially inseminate them, and then we put them in the incubators to rest, which is mimicking the current of a river, in a spawning bed. At 62 days, once they hatch at 42, at 62 days we bring them out here to the troughs, and we allow 3 to 5 days for them to swim up, and we teach them how to eat food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how do you teach a fish to eat food?
You make sure that it's always on the surface for them, so that when they're naturally curious, they want to pick at bugs and other small, like they would in the wild.
Yeah.
Well, they want to pick at those small things, so we make sure that they always have a little bit of feed to pick at, so that they can understand
they know it's there. So Hunter looks like she's swimming right now. Having a great day. Wave, Hunter. Oh, yeah, there we go. Good. She's not actually just enjoying the sun and going for a swim. What's she actually doing?
So Hunter is actually crowding up fish, which is, as you called it, pushing a fence of fish.
She's pushing a fence.
So right now she has approximately half of the raceway in her pen, approximately 150,000 fish, which she is coercing to go up this line. Yeah. So there is currently a fish pump that is sucking up water and fish through the hose, up through the pump, and then it will go into our counter to ensure that her accuracy is 150,000 fish. So this machine is counting between 7,000 and 10,000 fish a minute.
A minute. And it's like, this is meant for fish. Like, it's not hurting them, it's not doing anything like that. You don't want them to be hurt.
Not at all, not at all. So this is built exactly so that they have nothing wrong with them. They're never out of the water. They're breathing, they're swimming the entire time.
Can we take a look?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. So just in here, and you can kind of see the shadows in the pipe. I'm taking the high step up. And here they come up at a pretty good rate. So, and yeah, they are. Like, a few are fighting the water.
Yep, so they always want to swim upstream. So they continue to do that while they're in here. And as they become crowded up in these corners, they start pushing out the next guy. And down he goes, down through the water, over a light, which will then be captured as an image by the camera.
And that camera says so far, is that the count of how many fish are going through?
Yes, it is. That's how many we've counted so far.
So far, and you said there's 150,000 to count.
Yep.
So why sort them?
So right now, once fish reach a certain age, they don't want a certain size and the densities become too high, then we need to separate them so they can continue their growth and be as healthy as possible.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like when they're little,
yep, you can have more of them.
Exactly. As soon as they get big, you don't really want to do that. Now they're still sorting up at the top, but you mentioned the word raceway in that. This is this what you call this, raceway?
Yeah, each one is a raceway. So
each one is a raceway.
Each one is a raceway. Yeah, so we have 18 of them here. 18
raceways. So how do you keep fish? How do these things work?
Okay, so it's all gravity fed. We take our water from Camp Creek. We take 3,000 gallons a minute from the river system, which we divert through the farm. From the top of the farm to the bottom of the farm where we put our water back, there's 7 feet of fall, which allows...
so it's just naturally
flowing. Exactly. So it's all gravity fed. So each individual raceway is 100 feet long.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of each section, it then drops 14 inches into the next section, which keeps the gravity flow going. This also allows us to do manure collection at the end of each section. So at least once a week, if not more, all of our employees will go through and will individually sweep, rake, and vacuum each raceway to get all of the manure out, which we then collect and put them up into the pond. So every 3 to 4 years, we'll empty the pond, and we have a very nice hay field that we spread it on.
Oh, so I put my manure on a hay field too.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the same type of setup.
Exactly. So then in addition to that, you'll see the white lines that we have there. So when we get into low periods of flow, for example, a drought, then we have to start choking off our intake, which means we don't continue to take that 3,000 gallons a minute. So then we'll start reusing our water and pumping it back to gain as much flow as we can, because the system still requires flow even though the river can't give it to us.
Well, because these are because they're trout, they need that flow because
it's a natural part of their life cycle, and it needs to continue to move the manure down and keep the fish exercising the way that they require.
And so then the manure, it kind of settles in one, you clean it out.
Yep.
So what happens to that other 3,000 gallons a minute?
All the water then goes back. It goes into a discharge channel, which is 700 feet of natural fauna, the natural flora and fauna that will eat up any of the residual nutrients that are left.
Oh, really? And then that water just goes
right back into Camp Creek.
As clean as it came into the top.
And then in addition to the 3,000 gallons a minute, we also pump out about 600 gallons a minute from the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so all of our brood stock need to have cooler water, and the babies...
Oh, those little fish. They were in, you said it was pulling out of the ground.
They need to have cooler water. So the brood stock also require cooler water. So this whole series, where all the big fish are, is all well water. So it's more
So
temperature
it's that
controlled.
much cooler, yeah.
So the river is actually gaining some water because we're pumping out water from the ground.
The cool water too. So,
Yes.
but it flows through that thing to clean out all the manure.
Absolutely
and
everything, and we pump all of this, as you can see,
Isn't that something?
and away it goes.
And away it goes. So last step, you said you're catching a few fish.
Yes.
To send to one of the other farms.
We are. We're going to be catching some future breeders. So these girls and boys will start breeding next year in March.
Yeah.
So we're going to catch them, put them into the tank, and they're going to head out on a trip.
Oh, isn't that cool? Well, thanks so much for the tour today.
Not a problem.